Now 12,500 kilometers and 200 days into my journey from Alaska to Argentina, I find myself in central Mexico in Oaxaca state. After spending a few days in the capital, Oaxaca City, and taking in its culture and its incredibly beautiful cuisine, I find myself in this episode cycling towards the coast via some beautiful natural thermal pools. That is when I find myself in a bit of a rush. For those new to the channel, my name for this trip is the Biking Viking, and I am cycling from Alaska to Argentina to raise money for a charity called Cardiac Risk in the Young. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and like and comment. Para mis amigos que hablan español, activa los subtítulos.
Let's kick it. Ice, baby.
Just past a place called the Tree of Tule. It's meant to be the world's widest tree. I'm not sure about that. And we are heading down towards the coast via a place called Hieva el Agua, which is these rock pools on the side of a mountain. This is a hell of a climb up to Hieva el Agua. I hope the pools are nice. Don't need to cool down. It's boiling hot, sweating buckets. Tough going. Once I arrived at Hieva el Agua, I went straight down to the pools and hopped in to cool down. I then went for a short hike around the area to see the stunning rock formations which resemble cascades of water. There are two of these rock shelves which form similar to stalactites and caves. As the water trickles down, the minerals deposit themselves on the mountainside and create these beautiful cascades. Incredible. When the sun started setting, I head up to a cliff overlooking the pools and settled in for the night. Good night, good evening. I'm not sure if you can hear, but the wind is absolutely terrible. I'm camped out on the side of a cliff and I woke up and there is a fine layer of dust over everything inside the tent because the wind is whipping up underneath, splashing the dust against the side of the tent, and then the fly net is like filtering it through. So you've got dust over my sleeping bag, in my eyes, over all my stuff. I can't get to sleep again because the wind is so bad. I didn't think it was going to be this windy when I came to bed, but there we go, a few more hours. After Hieva el Agua, I climbed back the way I had come and started heading down towards the coast. Despite being up in the mountains, the road to the coast was no straight descent, as Oaxaca's landscape provides a lot of climbs. The locals describe it as a piece of paper scrunched up. Coldest I've been in a while. As I wanted to head to Puerto Escondido, I made the decision to follow a Google Maps route instead of the main highways. It would take me through the Oaxaca mountains and would lead me along some interesting roads. It turns out there was a new highway being made which the locals said I could use, but they also said that if I went on the local route, the roads were absolutely stunning. You know which I picked. I decided to go the local route. As I was climbing through beautiful forests and local villages, the road soon turned to gravel. Sometimes the road washes away like that and it's a 15-kilometer detour, so just depack the bike and carry it to a bloody canyon. And I'm completely scratched up now. This has gotten very climby, but the trees are absolutely beautiful everywhere. I'm in the middle of a forest, stunning. It's just the road is a bit bumpy. I'm almost at the top and we can drop down, and it should hopefully be a drop down to the coast, fingers crossed. This was the last big Oaxacan climb. The day changed after this though, as Google Maps had decided that I could use an old farmer's cattle trail. It would drop me 1,000 meters in just 10 kilometers down an incredibly rocky route which included cattle, and it turned out to be incredibly testing. At times the cattle thought I was herding them as well, running off ahead. After this incredibly tough day, I was happy to arrive into Puerto Escondido and meet my mate Sean, who had booked me in at his hostel. Once I had arrived into Puerto Escondido, I spent a few days relaxing and just being a beach bum. I hiked around, made some friends, went out for some drinks, and got to see turtles laying eggs on the beach. However, my mum was flying into Cancun to visit me in 11 days, and that was over 1,600 kilometers away. So I continued on my journey along the coast to Salina Cruz. but I got invited to a party back in Escondido, which I just couldn't turn down. First time on the trip, I caught a bus with Emmylou, my bike, only it was backwards towards Puerto Escondido. After a day off the bike and a beautiful party, I caught a bus back to Salina Cruz, which was an ordeal in itself.
So, got back on the bus, had a bit of a hectic ride because there was a blockade halfway to Salina Cruz. Ended up being 2 buses, a van where Emmylou was on the roof, and finally a special taxi, which was like 300 pesos. Got back into Salina Cruz and then started pacing it north.
That afternoon, I managed to cycle 80 kilometers and set up camp on the Oaxaca-Veracruz border. My mum would arrive in 7 days, and I had 1,260 kilometers left to cycle. Let the games begin. Day 1 of the race to Mum was a pretty tough day. I wanted to cover some big distances early, but this stretch between the mountain ranges to the east and the west is known to be a wind tunnel with incredibly strong gales. By a stroke of luck, the winds happened to be coming from the south today, and the huge tailwind allowed me to cover 209 kilometers. I was well into Veracruz, so I rewarded myself with some ceviche and a beautiful river at sunset, where I camped out for the night. Day 1 complete.
So this is me for the day. It's highways. 170 kilometers of highways. I am heading up towards what will be the final 2 hills until Cancun. So this is flat, baby. That is it. I am descending towards sea level, where I will stay for the next 1,000 kilometers. We have left Villa Hermosa and we're heading towards the coastline. It is as flat as a pancake. So you might be able to see the slightly dead and vacant look in my eyes. I had 5 hours sleep the night before last because of stomach problems, we shall say. And then yesterday I got in here, which was by a bar restaurant, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I read bar restaurant club. So I tried to fall asleep at 10, but the music was too loud, and then finally drifted off and rolled over at 1 a.m. The music was still absolutely banging. But I think it finally went off at 4:30, so I had an hour and a half of undisturbed sleep. It's now 6:30, and all I want to do is pack up and just get on the road. But I don't know if you can see. I couldn't see these last night, but they are absolutely everywhere. You can see them crawling. It's an absolute fly festival out there. The minute I go outside, I'm getting eaten alive. You cannot do anything because they're just all over your skin. I feel like a zombie. Can you see? They're absolutely everywhere. Oh my god, you can see it. Oh, this is horrible. All over my hands. Yeah, I have my mosquito net on, but they're smaller than the things. I have never felt like this before. It's horrible. Sorry for swearing. Oh, they are incessant. I need to get out of here. I'm gonna pack up as quick as I can.
It's safe to say that after only a couple of hours of sleep and with continuing stomach problems, the rest of this day was absolutely miserable. Still, I managed to continue pushing on along the coast for almost 200 kilometers and into the city of Campeche for the night.
Made it to Yucatan! 1 more state left.
With the majority of the distance now covered and a full night's sleep in the bag, I was in slightly better spirits. This day, however, would be plagued with flat tyres, as I had cycled over a patch of staples near a construction site. Towards the end of the day, with no tyre patches left, I was forced to stop every 5 kilometers and pump up my rear tyre until I arrived into Merida. Another day down. In Merida, I was reunited with Mahil and Kiara, my friends from Baja, and they joined me as we rode to Valladolid together. Accompanied by friends and with only 2 days riding left, I was in a great mood. The end was finally in sight, and I was super excited to see my mum as well.
Hey, buenos dias. Quintana Roo, we made it. 35 kilometers left before Valladolid. Kiara and Mahil are on the bus. I'm just powering on to get there. They're going to go ahead and sort accommodation, and I'll arrive. Tired. 1 more day left after this. 1 more day in Cancun. 2 weeks off the bike with mama. Let's go.
After a great night in Valladolid with Mahil and Chiara, I started cycling with them the next day before splitting up and cycling the final stretch into Cancun on the highway. As I finished the crazy 7-day, 1,260 kilometer journey, I was definitely looking forward to a couple of weeks off the bike. As always, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe to my channel. In the next episode, my mum flies to Mexico to visit me. We'll be travelling around the Yucatan Peninsula, visiting Mayan ruins, refreshing cenotes, and these pink lakes, before I cycle to the end of the Mexican part of my journey. I'll see you there.